So, welcome to the construction management program here at Ferris State University. This is our main office here. This is kind of the hub of everything. Whenever students have questions, they're pretty much going to come to this place and actually see Mrs. Wessels, who has been our secretary for as long as any of us have been here, thankfully. So she is the person to ask any questions. Now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of tour through the building, and I'm going to be talking about the program as we walk through. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer anything. You're going to notice as we walk through the building, we were just in a very finished area. We had carpeting, we had ceiling, painted walls, everything. We step out into the hallway, and if you look up, you'll notice you can see all of our mechanical and electrical systems exposed. And as you look further down the hallway, and you'll notice we have windows into classrooms kind of throughout the building, you can also see that. That's one of the big kind of focuses of our program, is this ability to be able to see what actually the guts of a building, to really be able to understand how construction gets put together. It's one thing to watch a video of watching a tradesperson do something. It's another to actually see everything fitted together. So we have a mix of finished spaces and then kind of rougher spaces. We're going to walk down what I call the faculty hallway, or faculty row here. And we do share the building with the HVAC program. So we have a mixture of HVAC and construction faculty along here. What you'll notice outside of each instructor's office, and I'll stop here at Professor Templin's, you'll see that it shows his entire teaching schedule. It also highlights out office hours. Now, the office hours are dedicated hours during the week when the instructor is going to be sitting in their office waiting for students to come and ask questions. They could be related to your class. They could be related to advising for future classes. We also get questions about job offers, internships, helping evaluate things like that. So our faculty are the advisors to our students. They are there to help them. So at least the dedicated office hours always are pretty helpful, but they can also set up individual meetings with the instructors whenever necessary. The other nice thing about being able to see a faculty member's schedule like that, if you realize you need to meet with them, something's going on and you've got to be able to get hold of them, let them know, maybe you've had an emergency come up, something's happened. If you can catch them outside of their class, let them know maybe you're not going to be in the classroom that day, they can work with you. So that's one of the really nice things about it. I've oftentimes had students kind of be waiting for me outside the classroom to ask me a quick question, before I moved on to another class. So it is one of the things that's very helpful. And Ferris is a little bit unique. We do require all of our students to have an advisor who isn't a faculty member in the program, and that they have to meet with them every semester before they register for classes. That is our way of making sure they don't sign up for the wrong type of classes. We know you're here, you want to get in and get out, and we want to get you in and out in 4 years. That is our motivation. Good advising is what helps us do that, to make sure you don't take a wrong class. And we're there to help you figure out, if I need to pick up a class in the summer, is it through Ferris or could it be through a local community college? We help you figure that out too. So we're going to continue down here. We're going to hit the staircase, and the staircase is going to feel a little bit more exposed again. And it's actually one of my favorite places to go when I teach plans and specifications to students. And the reason is, this staircase has a lot of things about it for a student to learn. It isn't just about the layout and what does it look like and what it's made of, but it's, how is it going to be constructed? How are you going to get it out to the job site? It forces them to start thinking about logistics and understanding how things fit together a little bit more. Now at the bottom here, we do have what I call kind of our brag cabinet. And this is a bunch of the awards that we've actually won with our student competitions. We like to compete in student competitions. We're pretty fierce about it, and our students are pretty fierce about it as well. So we get involved in some that go to Chicago, although this year we are doing, all of our competitions are virtual. However, Typically, it's a trip to Chicago with teams of 6, with design build teams, commercial teams, heavy civil, and we're bringing an electrical team this year and a concrete team. So we're actually expanding out what we do. We also often do one with ABC. That's another sponsored competition, and if we have student interest, we normally find a way to make sure we can make a competition happen. Because competitions are what help our students learn more about the program, more about construction. I used to laugh when I coached a team. One year, a student came to me and he said, I learned more in this 3 days of competition than I learned all year. And I politely corrected him and I said, no, actually what you learned is how to put together all of the knowledge you've been learning over the last 2.5 years. That's what you got out of it. And he did agree. The other thing is participating in competitions is fantastic on your resume. It shows employers that you're willing to put in extra effort, step outside of the classroom, spend some time on it, and really learn your industry. So that's the other reason we highly encourage students to do so. All right, we're now in kind of the main hallway where a lot of our classrooms feed off of, and we're going to actually step inside a typical classroom. Now, this room does look a little bit different layout-wise compared to what we would normally see because we are maintaining our social distancing, so you can see the tabs of where students are allowed to sit. But we are maintaining our 6-foot distance and wearing masks in the classroom. But normally, what you would see is kind of rows of the tables instead, large enough so that we can unroll plans and specifications, because that's what a lot of we're going to be looking at in our industry, and we don't need them falling off of the table. So this is kind of our larger classroom. We have another one next door, which is very similar, just slightly smaller. All right, so this is our auditorium. Normally, we're able to seat a fair amount of people in here without our spatial distancing. It's the classroom where I tend to put classes that, are lecture only, not as hands-on necessarily, so kind of a contracts class, maybe safety might occur in here. We also use this space for guest speakers. Our student groups will use it, and when we're really lucky, we do something called an Industry Insights Day, where we will actually have members of industry come in throughout an entire day, and our students get to attend different sessions, different learning sessions. This is one of the spaces we would grab for it. Now, we also will get employers interested in recruiting our students, and oftentimes they want to get some face time in front of our students. What we will do is allow them to do kind of a pizza and pop session in the evening with the students so they can present, learn about why their company will be perfect for the students, and then, then they can set up for interviews the next day. So this is a fantastic and very helpful space, quite honestly, for a lot of different reasons. And you're going to notice lockers here, which is going to feel very much like high school. I recognize that. But when you keep in mind, we've got classes where you're going to be wearing safety gear, you're going to have a hard hat, you're going to have safety glasses, you may be using a tool belt, you may be using your own tools. You also have big rolls of drawings for our plans and specifications class that used in multiple courses. You want to have 1 or 2 of these to be able to keep the stuff in so you're not having to drag it all over campus. So it just makes it a little bit easier, a little bit more comfortable. And we're going to step into our mechanical electrical practices lab now. All right, this is a space that we're actually very excited about. It just got completed this summer. It used to be our old soils lab, but our program has realized that the industry is very focused on mechanical electrical. When you look at how much MEP, as we call it, can count for the cost of the building, it can be up to 40% sometimes. So you need to understand the bare bones basics of those topics. So we've got a perfect class for that here. We've got an instructor who has degrees in both mechanical and electrical, and he used to work for the power company constructing power plants. So if that doesn't pull everything together, I don't know what does. But the nice thing is it's a flexible classroom. All of the tables are on wheels, so they can actually maneuver it around as they need. They can maintain their spatial distancing right now, but also later on when they work in groups and stuff, we can combine things together as necessary. And we are actually going to walk right through the materials lab. And we're going to step into here. We're actually going to walk right on through the materials lab. Now, we do soils in here and materials. I've talked about the fact that I probably haven't talked enough about the fact that we are a very hands-on university. When you look at all the classes the first 2 years, all of our construction classes, only one is a lecture-based class. Everything else has a lab associated with it. Our belief is the hands-on is the way you learn, and our students will tell you that they are hands-on learners or visual learners. So we're going to step through here. They are mixing aggregates right now. And we're going to head down this escape hatch here. And now we're stepping into our other very hands-on lab. Now, I always call this, of all the classrooms, this is the one I call the fun classroom, quite honestly. The material bay in here is where classes from both the materials side and our advanced materials class and our practices class in here will mix concrete. So we've kind of got all this set up back over here. And if we look to the other side, you'll see we've got a concrete compression testing machine. They can actually test concrete as well as mortar and grout. So it's nice to be able to test all those because that's a pretty big thing in our industry. So right now the students are doing some layout with some form work. Woo! And you'll see the space is laid out. The instructor has everything mapped out for their future concrete projects. Students are going to work in groups on concrete, actually, in this class. They get to design the project. He gives them some basic guidelines, the quantity of concrete, how many pours it has to take. And honestly, it just kind of goes from there. And we've ended up with some really fantastic projects. Perfectly balanced teeter-totters, concrete hunting blinds, which I don't recommend necessarily, fountains, tables, chairs, benches, staircases to nowhere, you name it. But they're learning while they do it, and there's a lot to learn from it. The students in here will also do basic layout, and that's what they're actually doing with the form work right now. But beyond layout and the concrete, they're going to set steel later on. You'll see I've got these yellow plates on the ground. Those will pop out, and we actually set columns there. And they're going to set beams and joists, so they're going to experience that. They also do some welding over in the corner there. Now, the whole idea behind all of this is that they're not going to be experts at any of it. We don't expect anyone to be an expert. But if you've tried one of those trades, if you've actually had to deal with pouring concrete, you gain a much greater appreciation of how to schedule it, how to make things happen. The other class that occurs in here is our framing class. So it's framing and interior finishes. Now, we've got two different townhouses going up right now next to each other. As they get higher up, you're going to start seeing a difference between the two. One's going to use prefab lumber, the other is going to stick with our standard lumber. You'll also see metal studs on the level up above because we use metal studs a lot in the commercial industry. So it's a bit of a mix. So this is what, as you can see, is kind of why I call it the fun classroom. The fact that they're able to get 2 stories up there, they will get roof rafters going and everything else. And the nice thing is when they tear down all of those at the beginning of each new semester, they let the students see what they're going to be constructing. They tear it down. That used lumber gets used by the students for formwork with the concrete projects.
Nice.
So, trying to be as sustainable as possible. Now we're stepping into our atrium space here, and this is kind of a nicer space for our students. It's actually home to the Michigan Construction Hall of Fame. We do actually host that typically every October. Sadly not this year, but hopefully in the future. And that celebrates people that have had a really significant impact in the industry. It could be a business owner, it could be a tradesperson, it could be an association member, and it's from all the different aspects of construction. We typically leave the space set up like this, normally with more chairs, so that students can hang out here during the day, they can work on homework, they can eat lunch, do different things. Just obviously we're under different restrictions right now because of COVID, but normally it's a little bit more of a happening place, quite honestly, and it is a good gathering space. Now we also have a student office here, and I like to focus on it because we have two student groups in our program. Sigma Lambda Chi is the honor society, and the top 10% of the students can be invited to join Sigma Lambda Chi in their junior year. I think it's the top 10 or the top 20, one or the other. And then the other group, which is open to everyone, and we always highly encourage freshmen to get involved, is ACS, Associated Construction Students. Now they do the fun things like sell the construction management clothing. They go on normally really unique field trips, around Michigan, but also 2 trips a year to Chicago, sponsored by different contractors there to see the amazing construction and architecture, quite honestly, that we see in Chicago. They will also do a lot of charity events. They reach out to the community quite a bit. And if we get a phone call from someone, oh, we need a ramp built, somebody needs a new roof, this is the group that always jumps in happily and participates. They actually have their own job trailer outside that they can actually take to the job site and actually construct this. So that's what a great way to gain experience, because the neat thing with that is, we get students from all walks of life in our program. Some who have been in construction all their lives because of their family. I have others that changed from pre-med because they felt it was too much science. All those students are coming into this program and they all are sharing knowledge, and that's one of the greatest things about it. So joining something like ACS, you may not know about drywall, but you're going to learn about drywall because somebody in that group knows drywall. So we highly encourage, again, students to participate in that. And the other reason too, becoming a leader in that group is really important for our industry. A future employer is going to look at that and see leadership potential. And that's what you want to do. You want to build yourself up as a leader, because when you're on the construction site, whether you're a superintendent or project manager, you are a leader. And so the more you can hone those skills, the better off you'll be. So, now, I sadly always kind of ignore that corridor of the building because that is all the dedicated HVAC labs. So similar to what you saw with us, they have their own, heating and cooling labs, refrigeration labs, and such. Now we're going to walk up the stairs here to get up to our second floor. And as we walk along here, you're going to see kind of what I call artistic ductwork. And what it is it's celebrating all the companies and associations that actually donated to help construct this building. We couldn't do it with just the state funds, so all of these happen to be associations or companies that heavily recruit our students as well. But this is our way of kind of saying thank you. And no, how far out they stick does not determine how much they gave. That was an artistic depiction by the architect. So. But it is neat for students to be able to look here and realize, oh yeah, this company is going to be coming. I should probably think about trying to interview with them. Now, our open space up here, these are open computers where any student can come at any time. They can drop in, and it has all of our software on it, so they're able to, work on any of their classes, quite honestly. We also have kind of vending over in the corner as well. It's surrounded by HVAC equipment here because that's actually a secondary HVAC lab. Purely secondary HVAC system to the building. You will see the students out here periodically climbing all over it, running tests and things. Now we're going to step into one of the instructors' labs right now. We have 2 dedicated computer labs to our program. HVAC has 2 across the hallway. These are ours. Typically, students have much more free reign to be able to access them. They do not right now. We have limited class size in there right now, so we've had to do some adjusting. But this is a big crux of our program. When you look at how many classes we have that involve computers, it's our estimating class, it's our 3D modeling class, it's our virtual design and construction class, it's our construction administration class, it's scheduling, it's advanced computers. That's 6 classes where we are really helping you get familiar with technology. And it's not just computers, it's drones, it's laser levels, it's laser scanning of buildings. We're introducing students to all of that because that's what they're going to see out in industry. And we just really want to try to prepare them as best we can. Again, not going to be an expert in it, but we can at least get you familiar with it so you're aware of it. And that's the biggest kicker. And a lot of times students will tell me, well, I hate computers, I really don't think I want to get into that. I have 2 things to say. Number 1, your smartphone is a computer. It can do more than my first laptop ever could. And number 2, that is what we use in industry. You will see superintendents out there with iPads. They're not running around with big rolls of drawings anymore. And they are meeting via Zoom at times. Industry is changing. Submittals, everything is up in the cloud. So we have a ton of that going on. Students have got to learn to embrace it. The good thing is when you're doing it hands-on with us, it's not as intimidating, and it becomes a pretty decent experience. Most of the time students are very proud by the end of the semester at what they've actually been able to accomplish, and pleasantly surprised. All right, and we'll just kind of step in here so you can get a little bit of a view of it.
Put in the junction box, put in the elbows that you need. Program again does it for you. So it is intuitive in that manner. So first thing we're going to do here, we're going to go over the conduit. Let's put in some conduit. Okay.
All right, and the same thing's happening over on this side. And normally, in a normal semester, the students are hanging out here in the evenings. They're working together, they work in groups, they're on the computers. We've just had to limit that this year, obviously, which is a little bit disappointing because, quite honestly, construction management is about teamwork. It's teamwork, and it's about the management of people and being around people. So the more we can kind of try to get the students close, the happier we are. That's why we've maintained the majority of our classes being face-to-face. We feel that's vitally important to our students. They come here because we are hands-on.